Hi, Ellen Ingalls here at pressure-free.com. Very sunny day here in Michigan. Started out pretty rainy. Now it's very sunny. Topic today, longevity and quality of life. So let me think of when it was. It must have been about 4 years ago. We were having an annual planning meeting for Ingalls Pictures, which is my son's company. Ingalls Pictures, you can look them up, ingalls.pictures.com. And my eldest son asked me, "How old are you going to live, Mother?" I mean, he just blurts it out. So he had shared a form about legacy, about creating legacy, and what are you creating in your life? And the first question was, "How old are you going to live to be?" And I couldn't answer the question. And so I thought about it. I filled out the rest of the form, but I didn't answer that particular question until I came up with this. I remember when my parents passed away. It was 2005. My mom was 68. My dad was 72. And let's sit here for a minute. And when I thought about that, 2005, my youngest was 5. So he doesn't really have very many memories of my folks. And so I thought, okay, my older boys remember my parents really well. So my answer to my son was, I want to live to be old enough to see my youngest grandchild make it to age 10. That's what I came up with, that my youngest grandchild would live to be 10. So I have a ways to go. It's weird too you can look at your family and see how long did your grandparents live? How long did your parents live? So my mother's mother lived to be 100. My other grandmother lived to be 80. My mom herself died at 68. So when my mother passed away, I got pretty serious about life, I think you could say. I was like, my goodness, I was in my 40s, early 40s at the time, and I thought, maybe I only have 20 years left, right? None of us know. None of us know how much time we have on this planet. There are accidents, there's all kinds of things that can happen. What I find interesting is that there's a lot of talk about longevity today. People wanting to live a really long time. My spin on it is that however long I live, I want it to be really quality. So quality is definitely on my agenda. And so that gets me to want to share with you what I've learned since I went on this journey back in 2010 to stop the release of stress hormones and stop the stress response, and how it impacts our quality of life. And I'm going to start with quality of our skin. So close up on my fingers here, because these fingers, you probably heard me say many times, were covered in eczema for 35 years, cracked and bleeding knuckles. My middle finger knuckle right here was literally cracked and bleeding for 35 years. And I think I must have been about, what was during the pandemic. So I don't know, I was like 59 or 60. I think my license was 62, 1962 when I was born. So I had a mask on and a hat on, and I was buying a bottle of wine at this little grocery store, and they asked to see my ID, and then the woman, the cashier, was like, "There's no way you're 60," like that. So must have, she was like, "There's no way you're almost 60," and I said, "Well, why are you saying that?" And she goes, "All she can see are my eyes." and my hands. And she goes, I'm deciding whether to card people based on the quality of their skin and your hands. And she goes, there's 21-year-olds who don't have hands that look like yours. And I said, well, you should have seen my hands in 2010. You would have definitely thought I was old. And so quality of skin. Quality of your life in general is something you can kind of assess. Are you on any medications? That's just a sign that something chronic is going on if you have to take a medication every day. And certainly there are genetic predispositions and genetic diseases and things that require taking medications every day. But then you can look at some other things like allergies, asthma, all of that is stress-induced. Cancer is a stress-based disease. Heart diseases are. And when I say stress-based, what I mean is not necessarily, are you under a lot of stress? Yes, that's a factor. But more importantly, are you triggering the stress response? So you might not even think that you're very stressed, but if you're constantly releasing stress hormones, that's what's doing the damage to our bodies. And that's what's requiring us to take medications or mitigate, symptoms of certain things. And so taking a look at all that, what I've come to understand is that when the stress hormones go out, they literally wear down the telomeres of our DNA, of our chromosomes. There's like these little cilia type things, like a paramecium. It's a paramecium that has a cilia. I'm trying to think back to 10th grade biology here for a moment. So those, like little fibers on the end of the cells, those wear down over time, but they will really wear down if we're flooding the system with stress hormones and excess of stress hormones. And so that's what can cause gene variants to express, like the BRCA2 gene for breast cancer. It might never express. You might have it, but it might never express. So if I have a client who has a genetic predisposition to something, it's interesting to ask, is it something that you think about? Is it a worry that's going on in your head? I'm going to take a walk now a little bit. And that kind of anxiety in the back of your head. So that was me with breast cancer. Actually, my father had high blood pressure, heart issues, and diabetes. So I kind of had the trifecta working on me, genetically, you could say. But my whole approach to it all changed in 2010 when I understood that if I could not release those stress hormones, then my body's going to be so much healthier. I'm going to have a higher quality of life just in general. So I started playing with that idea and thinking about it. And when I started using this method on myself, it only took 8 weeks for this skin to heal. 8 weeks for my breast tissues to change. So I had dense fibrous breast tissues, just like my mother. And in 8 weeks, those tissues completely changed. I'll just share this because it's funny. So my mother-in-law, she was in her 90s at the time, and she had lost a breast to cancer, in the 60s. And so anyway, I said, I'm very close to my mother-in-law. I was very close to her. And I said, Mom, if you were my mother, I would show you. And she kind of smiled, and I go, I'm showing you. And I whipped off my bra, and she goes, oh, they're so youthful. It was just hilarious. And it's true. It's like, oh my goodness. One of my colleagues, she said to me, Elle, it's like you're de-aging and you help other people de-age. And I'm not like this fanatic about wanting to be younger than who I really am. I mean, I actually love being in my 60s. And a lot of people are kind of obsessed with, really wanting to look young. And that's really not me. I just want to be healthy. To me is the paramount thing. So before I learned all this and before I became pressure-free, in the back of my mind continually was not if I might get breast cancer. It was, when am I going to get it? Like literally that thought would go through my mind often. And so if you have something in your family, like I can't tell you how many times I have a client and they say, well, no, heart disease runs in my family. Like, okay, let's just take a pause. That could very well be true. However, let's just see what happens if you stop triggering the stress response. Let's just see what happens. And it's amazing what happens for so many of my clients. It could be headaches, it could be allergies. I had a little 10-year-old who took allergy medicine every single day. Every single day. And at the end of 6 weeks of working with me, he had no allergies. He was off all the medications. So it's really interesting what's possible for us. So one of the things that I think is critical at the beginning of my work with people is that very phrase, open to possibility. Are you open to the possibility that you might stay healthy? You might never contract a certain disease. Are you open to that possibility? If you have symptoms of something, are you open to those lessening? Maybe even disappearing? Like, what is really possible? So that's the kind of work I'd love to do, is just give people the hope and possibility that quality of the life can improve on every level. People's businesses, people's relationships. Just had a client who had a huge relationship uplift. I mean, it just brings so much joy to my heart when I hear this from people. And so that is really the power of pressure-free living. And if that is exciting to you, if there's something going on with you and you're like, I need to get free of this, then let's hop on a call together. I'm so here for you. And I wish you a great pressure-free day.